This is making it here and there. Welcome to the show. Rodney Coursey is an integral part of an authentic and intentional music industry. He is the founder of Garden State HipHop, a company which specializes in music publicity, blogging, event promotions, media training, and consulting. For over 10 years, Rodney's passion for the genre has sprouted a number of projects, collaborations, and events. His desire to empower artists and create trust is the reason for his success. You may learn more about Garden State HipHop at gardenstatehiphop.com. Thank you so much, Rodney, for coming on Making It Here and There. I'm super excited to discuss your journey, your communication styles, and Garden State HipHop.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on, Allison. I really appreciate the opportunity and just love to talk and connect with people. So thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for agreeing to be on.
Absolutely.
So for everyone out there, why don't you just give a brief overview of Garden State HipHop?
Yeah, so Garden State HipHop, was an idea I had during my sophomore year at college. So I had decided when I went away to school that I wanted to pursue a career in music. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what that would look like for a very long time. So I ended up transferring from the school I was at. So I was at home taking courses at my local community college until I decided what my next move wanted to be. So during that time, this is 2008, 2009. This is the height of the hip hop blogosphere. So you have publications like Nah Right, Two Dope Boys, Kevin Nottingham, the list goes on and on. Those are like some of the biggest blogs at the time. So I was spending a lot of time on those publications, and none of them were covering artists that I knew personally and other artists throughout the state of New Jersey. So I identified a demand there. How about I just create my own blog where I cover New Jersey-based artists? So that was the initial goal with Garden State Hip Hop, to give those artists exposure, artists, DJs, producers exposure, and also kind of like create my own lane in the entertainment industry. Because, around that same time, I was applying for internships at the record labels and the indie boutiques. And of course, I didn't get any feedback because I had no real experience. Right. So Garden State Hip Hop was essentially the launch pad to me eventually doing what I wanted to do.
And I think it's really, I think it's just great that, you created that niche that was just not there. You created that space that just was not there, that, you could create, like you said, your own lane in the music industry.
And I mean, that's a pretty powerful thing to do. Like, not to pat myself on the back, just speaking of anyone, I was 19 when I came up with it. And, when you're unsure, but I don't know if you feel this way, but when you kind of have a good idea, but I guess like your personal insecurity, you're like,
definitely
you get opinions from other people like, hey, I came up with this. You think this is cool? And everyone's like, yeah, that's a great name and everything. Mm-hmm. So it was like, and at that time, I didn't take myself that seriously to even establish something and, build like a cool brand,
And that's something maybe you can educate me on. When you say the blogosphere for hip hop, that in the hip hop world in general, that was obviously a big thing at the time.
Absolutely. So what playlisting is now is what the blogs were from probably 2006 to maybe about 2011, 2012. So it got to the point where the powers that be at all the major record labels were looking to the bloggers to find new talent. So the bloggers were breaking artists, from the Mac Millers to the Wiz Khalifas to the Currencies, and the list goes on and on. The blogs were really finding these brilliant artists and presenting them to the world.
And I think that's really important because when you think about music in general, you have some record label people that become big. I mean, I think of like somebody like a Britney Spears. I'm just using as an example. Yeah, but sure. At the end of the day, I feel like what makes musicians, whether it's a group or an artist or a duo or whatever, it's the fans that end up propelling them into another stratosphere.
because they might just be some
Absolutely.
garage band, or they, like you said, they might just be some local hip hop duo, or whoever it is. It's
Hmm.
the bands that'll propel them, because it's the demand, right? Supply and demand.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, we're seeing that now with the whole presence of K-pop in America.
Hmm.
With groups like BTS, their fan engagement and just their audience is just so huge and so dynamic,
Yeah. And like,
especially for non-English speaking music we're talking about.
are you a BTS fan?
No, but one of the companies I worked at, we used to represent them.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Hmm. Yeah.
So Rodney, I found you in a local newspaper. You did an interview about Garden State hip hop, and you mentioned two musical experiences you had when you were younger. One of which was that you went to a festival with your parents, and another one was that you were heavily inspired by Bones, Thugs, and Harmony. What specifically spoke to you at such a young age?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, my parents were younger, so hip hop was like the first genre of music I was introduced to, along with R&B. And you just remember certain moments. They almost feel like dreams, but they weren't,
Yeah.
just from like your childhood and stuff. And it's like I'll always, for whatever reason, I'll always remember that music festival in Belmar.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I was huge into Crisscross. You know what I'm saying? Their whole era from, I was a little kid,
Yeah.
but
Well, they were little
have
kids.
like little memories and pictures and things that I would do, that my family would remind me of. I was all about Crisscross, and they performed there. And I just remember seeing like their press photos and people with pictures of them and just being enamored by that. And Bone Thugs and Harmony, mid '90s. I'm a little kid. They were one of the biggest hip hop groups in like 1995, 1996. So, the fact that my parents had their tapes or their CDs, I instantly became a fan of the music, and just someone who, like, they had afros, they had cornrows, they looked cool, kind of like Crisscross. So that was a huge piece of it too. They looked like cool guys, with the hairdos and the clothing. And as a little kid, that's all you really need to see, you know? And aside from that, I think in that same article that you're referring to, my high school basketball coach's wife was Kanye's attorney, Kanye West. And he and I had a very close relationship. And my senior year of high school, he ended up taking me to the concert at the venue down in Camden.
Mhm.
So little did I know that it was like all hooked up, backstage passes, full access.
Wow.
So that was my first experience seeing the behind the scenes element of the entertainment industry. So I'm 18 years old. I'm standing next to Chris Brown. I see Rihanna standing here. I'm formally introduced to Pharrell Williams and Kanye West. I see Mos Def. I see Stephen Hill, who's one of the executives at BET at the time. I'm around all these entertainment giants. And the thing I'll always remember from that experience is that everyone was having so much fun. I didn't know what the responsibilities were. I didn't know who was in charge of what, but everyone looked like they were having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said to myself, I want to do this with my life.
And I think, what an experience as an 18-year-old. Like,
Yeah.
and like you said, you had no idea. You just thought you were just going to get to see a show and that was going to be it. But boy, oh
Yeah.
boy. I mean, um, I did have a question though, when you spoke about being younger. I feel like hip hop, and maybe this is something that I didn't experience as a child because my parents did not listen to hip hop, but although
Mhm.
my mom did have a Salt and Pepper tape, if that counts for anything.
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
We used to listen to, like, driving to like Catholic school. My mom had, like, the one with the Shoop and What a Man on it. But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was the 90s.
Yeah.
I feel like hip hop is very popular with just a younger audience. I mean, I guess you could say that about any genre, but I feel like hip hop is especially, just,
Absolutely. I mean, it's an art form that was created by kids,
yeah.
like Black and Latino kids in the South Bronx.
And so would you say that it is more than just the music? It is like,
Absolutely. So think about the 5 elements of hip hop. You have the MC, the DJ, B-boy, B-girl, um, knowledge, and graffiti. Those are the 5 elements. So hip hop's inception was to counter things that were going on within those rougher communities at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a way to bring people together and unify people, for a positive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think those principles and certain aspects of the foundation of hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
because since it's become so profitable,
Right.
and so commercialized, the foundation with anything, everything kind of like loses its roots once the money gets involved, unfortunately.
Right.
Mhm.
And I just feel like it's only going to get bigger with social media. How would you say social media has been playing a role in the evolution of hip hop?
Well, I'll start with a pro and I'll give you a con. So a pro is more exposure to talented people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with everyone across spaces, not even music. You have a platform.
Mm-hmm.
I have a platform. We have to thank social media for that, right? So it gets our voices heard, as little or as big as they are.
Mm-hmm.
We have our platforms to express ourselves and connect with people, like-minded people, and build these followings. So I think that's a pro, especially for recording artists. A con would be there is no mystery anymore, so I say that to say we see the rapper lifestyle, and now youth, in particular Black youth, they will go to great lengths to emulate what they're seeing on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not true. Yeah, you may see such and such rap artist driving a Lamborghini throughout Miami, but he doesn't own that Lamborghini. Or he's wearing this $10,000 designer outfit, but you don't know that was just for a photo shoot. He's going to take it off in 10 minutes and put it back on the rack.
Mm-hmm.
So like the illusions of social media and how detrimental it could be to young Black youth is probably the biggest con.
Would you also say the message, I mean, I know you were just talking about the messages of, just going against, societal norms at the time. Do you feel like that's also lost with social media? Or do you feel like it could be brought up again, with maybe like causes that were going on last year? And
What do you mean by social norms?
oh
Like in terms of like
yeah.
a conversation with someone, like someone thinks peeking at your Instagram story is like keeping up with you as opposed to giving you a
No,
phone
no, no, no. So
call?
when you were talking about hip hop, starting out as being, having something to say about how things were going on in society at the time,
Mm-hmm.
having a message like
Right.
and do you feel like that could be lost in social media, like lost in translation, or do you feel like it can be amplified, or both?
Both. And I think, I think this is a great time because you're one click away from what you're looking for, right? That's like one of the biggest conversations we have, not to make it a political conversation, but the uprising of fake news and people just finding information that aligns with their opinions and their beliefs. So that's like, it's a weird thing, but I think that's kind of like what it is now. Like you can find whatever you're looking for. So I guess what I'm saying is you can find your community,
Mm-hmm.
whichever side you're leaning towards. If you want things rooted in the history and the tradition of hip hop, then there's that. And then there's the opposite side of that,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I hope that's a good answer.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I feel like, I know you say you don't want to get political, but I feel like no matter what, whatever statement you, and I say you, not you specifically, but anybody on social media or anybody in the public eye, no matter what, it's always political. So I feel like no matter what, there's always, an angle or
Yeah.
by not saying something, you're saying something. And,
Right.
it's hard. I mean, I don't, I mean, I feel it as having some sort of again, the little platform I have, I feel it, you know, and I'm sure you do too. I whether say
Absolutely.
something or not say something. So I feel like that's another factor that, you know, anybody does with music. I don't feel like, you know, I don't think you can get away from that no matter what.
I agree.
If you're speaking authentically. Maybe if everyone's writing your lyrics for you and you're literally just singing them and that's it. But
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, people are writing your lyrics, or like you have a brand that is not a reflection of who you really are, then it gets a little weird in those scenarios. So I agree.
so I'm going to change topics a little. I'm going to pivot a little. Um, you said in this interview that I'm referring to again, that was in the publication, you said on a typical day you pitch, pitch, pitch.
Mhm.
What do you do, or what do you say to stand out to anybody?
So I mean, that's the client to client thing. It depends on the story that I'm presenting to the press.
Mm-hmm.
So one good example I can give you, I had a campaign with a female hip hop artist from Grand Rapids, Michigan, that identified as a pansexual. I've never met a pansexual personally. I don't know if you have. So instantly the music was great. She is very forthcoming about her sexuality and where she stands with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the angle. That's the story.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have an album and we have singles and visuals that um, depict, her lifestyle and her lifestyle choices and her individuality. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the story. That's the hook. So I say that to say, with my clients, I send them questionnaires, kind of like what you did with me for this interview, to learn more about them, especially them outside of the music,
Mm-hmm.
because, you want to find things that's going to connect with the journalists and with the readers, to make them relatable, So I try to be thoughtful in that regard. That's one good example I can give you.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a great.
But just yeah, just trying to find something relatable, something with nuance. And like I said, that's one example
Mhm.
of a client that I had, and I knew instantly that that was the piece, and we had an awesome campaign because of that.
And would you say in that strategy of sending out questionnaires and trying to find the story behind whoever the artist or the group is that how you create trust with emerging artists?
Absolutely. And even with some of my national acts I've worked with over the years,
Mhm.
definitely, because these people, for one, it's such a entertainment and a lot of other industries, it can become so transactional, you
Mhm.
know. These artists just want to know that you give a damn genuinely,
Mhm.
and I've found a lot of success by being sincere and genuinely wanting to do good work and do right by the artist.
How would you say you connect with new individuals? I say individuals again, artists, groups, anybody in the industry.
um well, recently, I can say a few of my clients have come from, just word of mouth referrals from
Mhm.
colleagues and other people I've worked with, that have spoke highly of me and my ethics and just my whole style and the way I get down. But aside from that, social media, the same way you and I connected, obviously prior to COVID, going to the industry mixers,
Mhm.
going to the shows and the different events, and just consistently being on the scene, and that's something I say to younger people that want to be a part of the music business. You have to find these communities and get involved and be present and engage, step outside of your comfort zone. Because I'm big on, those are the steps I took. So
Mhm.
I'm never not going to do those things, regardless of where I end up and everything. I'm going to do everything that got me to where I am now.
Because I think that's the whole point is like you said, you started the blog. Maybe you weren't as serious, but in the initially, but then you realize that if that's what's going to take, it meant blogging, putting up that post,
Hmm.
like you said, going to whatever lengths you have to go to, whether it's, if you're exhausted, I always say it's like you can be exhausted, but you still go to the party, still show up. Yeah, maybe you don't meet anybody, but you still went, you still showed your face. maybe you have
Absolutely.
to have a couple
Even
callbacks.
with that story, I mean, this was the story that you and I keep referring to. This was a local, news story that has some circulation throughout northern New Jersey, central New Jersey, but I've connected with you because of it. I've connected with a few other people that connected with the story, and here we are now.
Yeah,
So to
definitely.
me, there's value in everything, you know?
Absolutely. And I am very grateful that you came on, because I feel like this is another way to just, like you said, put your face out there, put your story out there. And, I think it's great. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna ask you a few more questions, because I don't want our time to run
Yeah, yeah.
out. There are a lot of music organizations out there, and PR firms and talent reps. And what makes Garden State Hip Hop stand out?
Uh, I would say we stand out. I stand out because I genuinely care about music. Um, I definitely want to do things that will resonate with the larger community
Mhm.
because I respect hip hop music and just art and creative expression in general. I have a deep appreciation for, so I always try to do right by it.
Mhm.
Aside from that, professionalism, of course,
Mhm.
and strong ethics, and that's something that's really helped me, the way I work and the way I communicate and the way I do business, and you earn a lot of people's respect
Mhm.
and earn people's trust, which is something that's few and far between in this type of industry.
Yeah. Um, it's obvious that, by the title of your company, Garden State Hip Hop, that you focus on hip hop in New Jersey.
Hmm.
Um, down the road, would you ever consider expanding your repertoire of artists from other states? Or I know you said you worked with somebody from Grand Rapids, so that's.
Yeah, so with my journey into becoming a full-time freelancer, I thought about creating like, a new like boutique specifically for PR, but I already had Garden State Hip Hop. It's something that people are already familiar with.
Mhm.
So yes, it is, for New Jersey, but it's becoming more of a tri-state thing,
Mhm.
and just most of my PR clients, especially at this time, are outside of the state,
Right.
So yes, I mean, to some extent, I have expanded, especially when I relaunched the website. I'm gonna have a tab that's specifically for other regions and people from other city doing great things. So I kind of made that transition already.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah.
Now, you said you're working on the website. What else can we expect in 2021 from Garden State Hip Hop?
Yeah, so the website is launching next month. I'm really excited about it. I'm making the switch from WordPress, which I've, functioned on since the website's inception, and going over to Squarespace now. So we're really excited to relaunch that. Aside from that, I'm going to be announcing a virtual concert this week,
Ooh.
which will be at the Saint in Asbury Park, one of the iconic venues. We're going to be doing a virtual show there. We have a great lineup along with the DJ battle to open up the show, and like an all-female hip hop cipher with 3 artists from the area that are pretty, pretty respected and super talented. So those are the 2 big things that I have going on. Aside from that, you'll just have to wait and see.
Ooh, teasing us. Well, Ronnie, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I'm going to link the concert in probably the video as well as the description, and your relaunched website. So I look forward to sharing this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. It's
You're
good talking
welcome.
to you.
Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch. I want to find out what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for tuning in. If you are interested in being interviewed for Making It Here and There, please send an email to MIHATpodcast@gmail.com. Making It Here and There is an interview series focusing on ways in which individuals are using communication across borders and across cultures to achieve understanding, learning, and overall consciousness of the world around us.